Welcome back to Sports on Tap. We're live from Z's Cream and Bean. We're part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network. Go to neosportsinsiders.com where you can see all kinds of good articles on Cleveland sports. You got rumors. They talk Cleveland Gladiators, even MMA. WWE Wrestling's on there.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, is that the Nacho Man?
It's the Nacho Man, brother.
Man, why are you guys doing that? How dare you besmirch Randy Savage?
The cream of the crop, Mean Gene.
I thought these
I
guys
said the Nacho Man. Is that what you guys
Yeah, I
both
kinda
said?
did.
No, you don't.
I did.
It's a
kinda
character,
did. You did.
brother.
No.
All right, he's the Macho Man.
What are you doing?
Better?
Guys.
I'm not trying to be Randy Savage. I'm the Nacho Man.
That's why I called him Nacho Man, because
Right.
he's not the Macho Man.
If you look
he's
at
Sean
me,
Duffy. He's a
if you look
Detroit
at
Tigers
me, the
fan.
first thing you think about is a nacho. Think
No,
about it.
Or
think about-
another,
no.
or another milkshake.
You know what? That's my
Hey,
business.
can I highly suggest the chocolate milkshakes up here at Z's Cream and Bean are to die for? We have, I think, about 3 or 4 at our table alone right
I
now.
prefer the buzzards. Buzzards are very good. That's the Z's form of a more commonly known as a blizzard, but the buzzards are better.
Everything is delicious here.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have all kinds of buzzards. You have smoothies. They do have kosher hot dogs too if you're hungry.
And you're keeping kosher.
That's right. Soup and chili.
Speaking of things that are good, it's good to be a free agent in the NBA this year.
I'll tell you what, that's just perfect. I mean, this guy isn't the best executive producer in the land for nothing. His name's Josh Jeffy. What a segue into our next segment.
Dynamite drop it, Marty.
We're going to talk about NBA free agency and obviously the Cavaliers, losing a few guys from their bench that were pretty important. Matthew Dellavedova and Timothy Mozgov. And Mozgov going to the Lakers.
Yeah.
What was it, 4 years, $64 million?
65.
Being tall pays, man.
It's true.
I mean, that's
I mean, if
crazy.
you're 7 foot and somewhat able-bodied, you're going to find a home in the NBA.
That's a great move, too, for his acting career.
Yeah. Listen, if anyone deserves a shot in Hollywood, it's Timofey Mozgov.
I got to see at least one of his Hollywood commercials. I have to see at least one. See if he improves.
He's going to be the actual version of Dolph Lundgren that was should have been a Rocky IV, not mini Dolph Lundgren that had to make taller than everybody else.
Yeah. But hey, that guy, you know that guy's a physicist?
Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
He's like a certified genius. Anyway, I mean, it's besides the point, but it shocked me when I found out because
What does he do to the molecules? Is he looking at the molecules and he's just like, I must break you.
he does.
And do science.
That's exactly what he does. That's why he's a genius.
Oh,
He's
man.
figured out a way to do it without any sort of like particle.
If it
issue.
dies, it dies.
I didn't know you said molecules there. I thought you said molecules, and I'm like, what is a molecule? But I let it go.
Again, it's at Brunswick High School education. Coming back.
Education, that's
Education.
right. But
All right, so
Mozgov goes to the Lakers. We have Matthew Dellavedova, who was obviously an important part. Maybe in the finals, Mozgov really dropped off, I thought, after his surgery. Something either was wrong. Maybe he came back a little too early. But Dellavedova was still an important part of this team. He played a lot during the season into the playoffs. To lose a guy that is very good defensively, that can shoot when he needs to, and is a good passer for the most part. There's the times when he thought guys were going up for dunks and they weren't there.
Yeah.
That was his favorite. The alley-oops. But
he's never been the surest of handed basketball players when it comes to a pass.
But, losing a guy like that, is important. He was an important part of the bench, and those are two guys that were part of the championship team. What do you guys feel losing those two has done for the Cavs, if anything at all?
Well, we'll start with Mozgov. Mozgov just wasn't a good matchup in the finals. And right now, unfortunately, the way the NBA is going right now, Mozgov didn't help himself out much by not coming back at peak form, and his hands in the paint were not good. The opportunities were there for him to be able to make an impact, but it just got to the point during the season where he just wasn't able to do that. And credit Ty Lue for identifying that and saying, hey, we need to have someone in there that's more reliable with the ball. someone who you don't need to create an offense for, which for Mozgov you kind of have to. I mean, you put someone like Tristan Thompson in there, he's a little more active, and he can create his own offense, and that's exactly what this team needed when we needed it. So, we needed the rim protector last year because the game was still based on that. However, this year, with the evolution of the game, and you didn't really see him against Andre Drummond too much in the first series against the Pistons because Lou felt better about Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
So, I'm not terribly upset with Mozgov leaving. We got what we needed to out of him last year, established an identity, and it did help us carrying over to this year. Dellavedova, we saw this year that he's best served, at least on our team, as a role player. He certainly gave everything he had last year in the finals, and unfortunately, we just asked him to do something he wasn't capable of doing.
Yeah.
And with Mo Williams coming back and drafting, was it Kay Felder?
Yeah.
Who's a dynamic scorer and
Well,
something that you need to be able to replace off the bench with Kyrie. Someone was going to overpay for him, and with the way this offseason is, that's exactly what happened. And it doesn't surprise me that the Cavs aren't going to match. Do you want to have his toughness? Do you need to have guys like that on your team? Absolutely. But right now we're not in the business of throwing that much money around for someone to fill that role. We can find someone comparable at a much cheaper rate.
I look at those two players in particular as guys that David Griffin brought in that fit the coach they had. If you look at Mozgov, you look at Dellavedova, they were beloved in this city, but they worked very well in what David Blatt was trying to do offensively. Dellavedova, I think, was more of a blue collar guy. You know what I mean? But I think
absolutely,
he's
more relatable.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you look at what David Blatt was trying to do with this team offensively, they needed a guy like Mozgov in the middle to take up space. They needed a guy like Dellavedova was willing to do all the little things and do the dirty work. Not to say that Ty Lue doesn't want that, but I think Ty Lue was able to motivate Tristan Thompson and motivate guys like even Mo Williams, J.R. Smith. But if you look, I think Mozgov was not long for this team after the end of the year anyway. Dellavedova was more of an issue of, we have so many guards on this team, we're not going to be able to re-sign them all. And we have a couple of guards like McRae, Kay Felder, who we drafted, Mo Williams, who took his option. You know what I mean?
Blame him.
Yeah, we were going to have so many guards that Dellavedova did right by looking around, and someone's going to pay him that amount of money. He's going to go play. He's probably going to play more in Milwaukee anyway than he would on this team. And who knows? I mean, they're building something in Milwaukee that's interesting with the team they have.
Jason Kidd and
Yeah.
the Greek Freak.
Jabari Parker.
Yeah, so I
Now-
think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I just think that if you look at those two particular, those two didn't shock me as much. I think Delly was more of a shock 'cause I think he was really bonding with his team. Not to say Mozgov wasn't, but I think Mozgov knew once they made the change of coach that his days were numbered in Cleveland. They weren't going to bring him back if they got what they needed out of Thompson because they paid Thompson all that money. And obviously, they weren't going to pay that money to Mozgov.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to the first Bucks-Cavs game so we can actually see how annoying Delly is on the other team.
As annoying as Anderson Varejao?
Oh, Anderson Varejao going back to the finals.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. Varejao was above and beyond annoying, which I couldn't really say too much because when he was in Cleveland.
We loved it.
Yeah, you loved
every
it.
minute of it.
But, I mean, there was a point where it was like, all right.
Like
dude,
anytime
calm
someone
down.
ran past him too fast, he'd be like, falling over.
Well-
I think that was accentuated by the fact that it was a finals game, and
Yeah.
he was standing in the way of us in going to the finals. Dellavedova most likely will not be.
No.
I mean, we'll play him 4 times this year, but it's not going to be high stakes.
right.
I think if it gets to a playoff series between the Cavs and the Bucks, that's when it might be a little
we'll
bit more
see.
interesting. But
We'll see. But, we haven't mentioned the big fish in the pond now, and that's Kevin Durant, who decided to go to Golden State for 2 years, player option for the second year. What are you guys' thoughts on that? I mean, my first inclination is, it's that team just got a whole lot better.
Absolutely.
But they have to beat us. Us
still-
being the Cavs, because the Cavs are defending champs, and I really, truly feel confident that the Cavs are not just going to sit around and not be totally reactionary to what Golden State did, but they're going to make a move somehow to improve this team, whether it's now or whether it's during the middle of the season like they did with Channing Frye. The team that the Cavs have now on July 6th is not going to be the team that we have when I think when training camp opens. Cavs are going to make a move because, on paper, Golden State is the best team right now. Probably, to be honest with you, right now on paper, one of the best teams ever. The way that they could score the ball. There's probably going to be times where they score 140 points in a game.
Well,
But
and there's even rumors about them possibly signing Ray Allen, which would give the Golden State Warriors every 3-point record in the NBA, basically, with Ray Allen, Steph Curry.
But here's the thing with that. My second thought on this whole thing, there's a lot of egos and a lot of guys on the Warriors team that need shots and need the ball. So who's going to be that person that's going to sacrifice for the team?
Draymond Green.
Well, and Steph Curry said he doesn't need the ball all the time and doesn't need to be the
It's
face
good
of
to
the
say it
franchise.
now in July.
That's what I mean. You can say
all-
it.
What
What
makes
happened
sense
in the
now.
finals when he wasn't the guy bringing the ball up or wasn't getting the touches like Klay Thompson? He went away and hit. He had his wife do his talking. Sorry, but that's what happens. You get mad about the fouls because you were stupid. When I look at Kevin Durant, as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, I want to thank him because here's what he did. By going to the Warriors, he shifted all that pressure from Cleveland repeating to can the Golden State Warriors manage the egos. That's going to be I guarantee it, from the beginning of next season up until the playoff time, that's going to be the narrative that's going to be spun nationally. The Cavs again are going to be an afterthought in the East because they're dominant. And even though the East got a little bit better, you got Dwight Howard in Atlanta, you got Boston's coming along, Detroit's getting better. It's not what all that happened is now that spotlight that shifted to Cleveland for just a minute for everyone to say, "Wow, good for Cleveland," is now back in Oakland, and it's not because they're champions. It's because now they have this powder keg of egos, of guys who want the ball. Like you mentioned, Steph Curry, I don't care what he says, he needs the ball. He's a shooter. You can't shoot the ball without the ball.
Yeah.
Klay Thompson, guess what? He is the same type of guy. Draymond Green is probably the most unselfish guy in that team because Kevin Durant's a scorer. He's been a scorer his entire career. At Texas, he's been a scorer in Oklahoma City. He knows he has to have the ball. That's how he's going to create his own shot. Good for Golden State. You got the Fantastic Four, whatever you want to call it. But again, you saw what happened when they brought Kevin Love and they brought all these guys and Kyrie Irving and LeBron James together. It was a bit of a rocky start. And now you've got the last 3 MVPs on the same team. There's only one ball, boys.
Yeah.
And it can only be shot by one person. You can't shoot it together. So
Yeah, it's going to take time for them to gel. I mean, as a Cavs fan, watching the Cavs with Kevin Love and all these guys really start to bond and gel together, it took a lot of time. But when I looked at Kevin Durant's decision, you heard a lot of, they compared it to LeBron James when he went from Cleveland to Miami. And, I guess you can say it is somewhat similar, but at the same time, at that point, the Cavs, they didn't have a Russell Westbrook on their team. I mean, if you're going to compare Mo Williams to Russell Westbrook, you're kind of a fool there. Russell Westbrook is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And along with Oklahoma City, they were up 3-1 on a Golden State team. They were that one team I felt that weren't really far off from beating Golden State. I mean, in all honesty, I thought that they could overrun them this coming up year.
yeah.
Golden State is a very good team, but you kind of saw them slipping down a little bit there. In that series, I thought Oklahoma City was the better team. I thought they had very good role players to fit certain situations, and for him to leave, I mean, I was almost shocked just because I thought he would stay there to try to win a championship because they were not far off. I mean, the Cavs, granted, they made to the finals. They lost to San Antonio in 4 games. Then come back, you lose to the Celtics. But they didn't have the kind of players I felt like Kevin Durant had. an Anthony Parker, a Mo Williams, a Zydrunas Ilgauskas, trying to think of some of the other players.
Antoine Jameson,
yeah,
Shaq.
Booby Gibson.
Those are the guys that were playing.
And they were kind of, Shaq was that guy that was kind of, you could tell on his way out. He wasn't a dominant force all the time. He was, 12 points and 8 rebounds a game. But I think the situations are a little bit different. I'm a little surprised Durant went to, the team that beat them and went to the championship and has won a championship recently. But, if it betters his career, I mean, that's what I think he's doing. He said he didn't care about disappointing people. He just cared about moving on and into a better situation. What do you guys feel about that situation, the comparison between LeBron and Durant's decision?
Well, I mean, there's nothing really much more that needs to be said. I mean, you laid it out pretty efficiently. I mean, the differences in the teams that each team left is stark. You're right. I mean, Durant left a team that was actually a title contender perennially, provided they stayed healthy. Mm-hmm. The Cavs are a title contender really because of LeBron. And unfortunately, they came up against a really bad matchup in 2009. And, they made that big trade to to bring other talent in, and it didn't gel by the time 2010 playoffs rolled around. So, and then the team that they each went to, you didn't know that that was going to work in Miami. You brought Bosh and Wade and LeBron together. They still had to work through their issues, and they obviously weren't able to get it done in year one. Durant's coming to a team that's ready to win. They've already won. They've won without him. So, those are the two major differences in my mind. And, Duff, I agree with you completely that the Cavaliers, all the pressure's off, and that's a beautiful thing for them because, they play better as an underdog anyways. And if you can find a way to give LeBron a chip on his shoulder without him having to manufacture one, all the better because he plays better when he has a chip on his shoulder. And it's going to be a season-long chip that just keeps grinding away at him that, hey, we're the defending champions. We're the ones you guys should be talking about. Now, he'll say that. He probably won't give a crap privately, but he'll say that. It's like, hey, guys,
they don't think
do you see what I did to these? Do you see what I did to these guys in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
I own Durant.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah, every single game he's owned Durant. Yeah,
so
that's a good
and
matchup.
I look at it when you look at the comparison between when LeBron left Cleveland the first time and when the way Kevin Durant took. I mean, it took LeBron doing it terribly to show Durant you don't do it that way. So he was able to. I mean, he spoke with Oklahoma City today or prior to making the decision. They had him come up, and I guarantee he was like, "Look, I just don't want to do it. I want to give you a heads up so that you're not, so that you're not blown away by it." But I mean, I don't. There's not really a comparison because LeBron James has shown himself to be a franchise-changing player. Like Kevin Durant goes to a team, like Ed said, that's already won one without him. Like it's almost like, oh, great, you're another piece of this championship core that we brought together. Like Kevin Durant, great. It's almost like when Ray Allen went to Miami to play with LeBron and Bosh and Wade. It's like, great, you're one more player, but this core three could get it done. I don't see, and I guess maybe I'm comparing. I mean, Kevin Durant's a great player. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not probably the best free agent pickup the Golden State Warriors have ever had. What I am saying is that Kevin Durant leaving Oklahoma City the way he did it's really not comparable to LeBron James leaving Cleveland because obviously it wasn't done on national television. It sparked the same hatred because, that's a fan base and that's a franchise that's still relatively new. I mean, I know it's the Sonics and it was moved from Seattle to Oklahoma City, but they've only known having Kevin Durant. They haven't known having anyone else. So it's very difficult for that fan base to say, you were the face of our franchise. And he has every right to move. I mean, he was drafted by them as a first-round pick, signed a couple of extensions, so that helps. But it's just there's a lot of money out there, and a change of scenery does help. I mean, look, they were up 3-1 and they blew it. I mean, you talk about a choke job. If Golden State doesn't do what they did in the finals, and let's say they go on and win the final championship, all we're talking about this year is Kevin Durant moved to Golden State because he can't win in Oklahoma City. And he proved it. They were up 3-1 with Russell Westbrook. They were winning. They won 3 games in 3 quarters with that team, and they could not close. They couldn't close all year, and that was a problem. So
yeah, they lost a lot of leads they lost a lot of leads that year. Going into the game, they lost an absurd amount of games that they were leading in the fourth quarter, I think is what it was. I mean, I just saw the stat. I don't remember what the number is off the top of my head. That's it. But when I saw that, I was amazed. Because usually when you're leading in the fourth quarter, you're generally going to put that game away. And especially with a team that has Durant and Westbrook on the same team.
Yeah.
You don't expect that to happen. You think that one of them would say, "Hey, you got this tonight," or "Hey, I'm not feeling it." Maybe you need to take over.
But the NBA can't be happy with this. I mean, they can't be. You have the last three MVPs. Steph Curry won it back to back, and Kevin Durant won it before that, with LeBron James in between. But
you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, you have all that talent focused on one place. Now what happens? There's 30 other teams. I mean, obviously the Cavs are going to take care of themselves, but who gives a crap now about the Oklahoma City Thunder? All they're talking about now is where's Russell Westbrook going, because he's obviously not staying without Durant. It's the problem is that all this focus, if the NBA is basically the Golden State Warriors and the Cavs, that's it, and nothing else, because there's really not anything to talk about out there.
Right now, you still got San Antonio hanging out there because they're San Antonio.
But they're signing every player over the age of 50 to play in their basketball team. I'm shocked. I'm shocked they didn't go after Dirk Nowitzki and get him to play.
Oh, they might have, but Dirk not leaving Dallas on his 2-year deal.
They paid him too, by the
way. They did.
2 years,
$40
million. Yeah, $20 million a year.
But he had made 100 some odd million before.
I agree, but he had taken some pay cuts recently to help bring talent in. Now he's like, you know what? I'll stay here, but you got to pay me. And Cuban's not going to tell him no.
No.
Yeah.
When he sees what Dan Gilbert did and what he had to do.
Hey, do you know what? I know one owner that will say no. Well, not an owner, but a GM, and Pat Riley, who is saying no to Dwayne Wade right now and standing pat on his 2 years, $40 million, when Dwayne Wade wants, in the range of 2 years, $50 million, and he's going out there. He's having all these meetings. A lot of rumors about the Cavs, which I find really interesting because, in my opinion, there's no way that he would accept a $3.5 million, salary with the Cavs. He's not going to take that kind of a pay cut. The only thing the Cavaliers, in my mind, can do is trade a player.
And to Miami?
Maybe not to Miami, but I mean, you trade, say, Kevin Love to another team, and you take on Dwayne Wade.
But are you?
I don't think.
I don't
there's
think
no way it can happen. I agree. To me, Kevin Love, I thought started fitting in with this team. In the finals, it was a mismatch there, but for the most part, I thought he did pretty well, even in the playoffs. There's some games he didn't do good, but for the most part, he hit some threes, played some better defense, gave you rebounds.
Here's my point, though. When you look at Dwayne Wade versus Kevin Love right now, every GM in the NBA is going to say you take Kevin Love on any team over Dwayne Wade, because Dwayne Wade, honestly, is playing on borrowed time. For all we know, his sharp decline could be this year or next year. And that's what he's saying. I know LeBron loves Dwayne Wade. We all see him on Snapchat hanging out on the boat, whatever. That's great. The problem is that this is a business, and Dwayne Wade has taken pay cut after pay cut in Miami. He wants to get paid. He needs to get paid because he hasn't been the highest paid player on his team since the first time when LeBron was there.
He wasn't even.
It was Bosh, right?
No, Bosh was. Yeah, you're right.
Bosh was the highest paid player. Like I'm saying, he's been taking pay cut after pay cut to help the Heat win, and it's worked out for him to bring LeBron and bring Chris Bosh there. Yeah. And now he's going to Pat Riley and saying, look, see what the Lakers did for Kobe? That's what you need to do for me. It may not make sense financially. It may put you in a bind. But if you're going to sign Hassan Whiteside to that deal, who's played less than Chris Bosh has, and put up about the same numbers as Timothy Mozgov in some respects, you're going to sit there and tell me that he's your future versus the guy that brought you 3 championships, who was a part of 3 championships?
Just FYI, the latest on Dwayne Wade, just over the past half hour, they're saying that Chicago, even though they have not had a meeting with Dwayne Wade, is trying to desperately clear cap space. Dwayne Wade is very interested in the Bulls and vice versa. Yes, he is from Chicago. So that is the latest on Dwayne Wade.
That would make sense.
He did not have the meeting because he had flight issues, but
actually, he didn't have flight issues. The Bulls were trying to go to New York, and they got pushed back. And it's amazing they don't have a private jet in Chicago
Well, you can't fly a private jet through wall-to-wall storms.
Well, I don't think there were. I don't know if there were storms out there, but they apparently kept getting pushed
just
back.
Let you know, a guy I know was delayed 6 hours coming out of New York. So
Well,
depends on.
they
where
couldn't
they're
get
flying
there. You know, I don't know if I can
First
see.
alert forecast from Sean Duffy.
at. Jeff Tanchek here, yelling my forecast into your face. Sorry, Jeff Tanchek.
You know,
but you
I don't know if.
he yells his forecast at me every day at 4:00. Just yells at me.
Do you know what
It's gonna rain.
It's like that. God,
It's like that guy on Family Guy.
Yes.
It's gonna rain.
Ollie.
You know what, I don't know if I can see Dwayne Wade going back to Miami after everything that's
I
been
think they're
going
done
down.
in Miami.
I think that
But
relationship could be over. I'd be interested. I don't see him going to a Denver team though that's not even close. I mean, Chicago. I don't know if they're close either.
Yeah,
but
but
you know,
Dwayne Wade
it's going to
and
be
Jimmy
interesting.
Butler, that backcourt, that's better than he had.
And Rajon Rondo.
Rajon Rondo, too.
That's true. That's better than he's had from a
They signed
backcourt.
Rondo thinking we have no shot. They probably didn't even know Dwayne Wade felt the way he
We
did.
haven't even touched on what the Knicks did. Did anyone else notice they're trying to build the Knicks from like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, give me Derrick Rose. Yeah, give me Joakim Noah. Sure, fantastic.
Yeah, great.
Match
We're
him with
champions
Carmelo
now.
Anthony. Oh, and by the way, we'll put KP in there. Make it all work. Sorry,
All right.
New York. It's going to
Yeah.
be a long, long off season.
It might not be bad. They can't be any worse
They're
than
not
they
gonna
were
find,
last
They're
year.
not going to find the fountain of youth. Maybe they will,
Hey,
but they'll crap out.
I mean,
the
I'll take
playoffs.
Joakim Noah over Lou Almondson
I
at
don't know.
center.
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know, bro.
All right. Wow.
You mean
I still hate
you
Joakim
mean,
Noah.
You mean Bizarro Taylor Swift?
On that note, we're sports on tap.
What are we talking about next?
Live from Z's Cream and Beat. When we come back, we're going to take
Next
a short
pop-up
break.
date.
How about the Indians? Are they? They're starting to take over where the Cavs left off, folks.
That's true.
The momentum is carrying on into baseball. We're coming back live from Z's Cream and Beat. We're talking Indians baseball and Major League Baseball coming up. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network.